Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So as you know, the Jetta is bone stock. I finally convinced the wife. We're gonna go ahead and do our first modification. We're gonna put in a Boss multimedia head unit, and it's finally gonna have Apple CarPlay. It's gonna have a reliable Bluetooth connection, and it's gonna sound great. All right, so this is the radio that we're gonna be installing. It's a Boss Elite BV800ACP. I got this all from Crutchfield. This is not a sponsored video. I paid for this cash myself, and I got their whole suggested install stuff. So that included this here, which is the antenna adapter, and then this is so that the whole radio works with the car's CAN bus system. It's pretty cold outside, so I don't want to be in the garage any longer than I have to be. So I intend to do this wiring here. Alright guys, well as you may have noticed, I gave up on trying to do the wiring in the office. The lighting sucked and it just wasn't comfortable to do it. So I came out here to the workbench and I knocked it all out here. But as you see, it's all done now. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in with the radio in the car. I just want to make sure everything works, and I got audio at each corner. And then once everything is verified that it's working, I'll go ahead and wrap it up with tape and it's going to look real nice then. Alright, so with the harness already done, we're going to go ahead and attach all the mounting hardware to the new radio. So in here, you have the microphone input. That's when you're speaking on the phone. That's for this bad boy here. I am going to use this. But these are the inputs for the front camera and rear camera, which I'm not going to use. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and tape this. I'm going to leave this sticking out so I can still use the microphone. And I'm going to run the tape this way I want to have these secured against the harness so that way they're not banging around against the radio once installed. What I'm actually going to do with these is that I'm actually going to run them into the glove box here so that way they're accessible in case I need them. Okay, now that everything is done with the new radio, let's get the old radio out of the car. First thing we're gonna do is disconnect the battery. There we go. And there's like 9 spring clips. Just hold it up and let's see. Oh, there we go. Now, something to keep in mind is this right here is your passenger airbag warning light. If you disconnect this and that battery is connected, you're gonna get a permanent airbag error on your dash, and it's gonna require you to go to the dealership to get it programmed out. You can't do it with a Carista, from what I understand. You can't do it with any of those coders. So I disconnected it, but I'm still gonna leave it plugged in. I mean, it looks like the whole thing is just held on there by pressure things. So you know what? Hold on. Hold on. Might be able to get it off. Whoop, whoop. There you go. There you go. Ha! Heck yeah. All right, so the trim is out. Do you see that? So the warning thingamajig indicator it's just held in place by these 2 spring ears. And it's plastic, so just expand one of them and then the whole thing will pop out. You never have to disconnect this harness from it, so you definitely won't risk having that light on. Anyway, so now that that's out, let's go ahead and remove the radio itself. There you go. Get the 4 out. And the whole thing should be able to slide out. We're going to disconnect the connections in the back. This one, I believe you have to lift the tab and then down. There we go. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a plastic tab here that you have to push out first, then squeeze in, and then it releases it. Let's see down here. I believe it's the same thing. Yep, there you go. All comes off very easy. There you go. Oh, there we go. It's a lever type. You see that? I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, you lift it, rotating upward, and the whole thing should just come off. There you go. Now you get a better look. You see that? That slider thing? There you go. All right, guys, here we are inside the car. Just a few real quick things. From factory, the car uses these two harnesses for antenna signal. You got a double and a single. The aftermarket one only is going to use this double one. So this one here, I just don't want to bang it around in here. So I'm going to go ahead and tape the harnesses together so this has somewhere solid to be and not just banging around back there. And then for the big connector, just so you know, Crutchfield does sell an additional adapter that allows you to connect these into those there. Right now you can't because that's female end and these are female end as well. That harness goes for an additional like 90, 95 bucks, something like that. And the only thing that it gains, at least in this car, would have been steering wheel control, which I don't use that often enough to merit spending that additional almost $100 just for that. And you see it, like I don't even have full options on it. It's really just the volume that I actually use. So with that said, I can control volume here. I have no need for that. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. Let's make sure it works first. All right, so
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I
let's make sure to line up this corner
fills up
with the
into
pins that are here.
picture.
We're going to sit it this way.
Me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety filling up.
All right, I'm just going to shove all this stuff in here for now. This is temporary. Again, I just want to see if it turns on and whatnot.
No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over.
All right, people, moment of truth. All right, let's turn this off. All right, crossing fingers.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head.
Why is it not turning on?
That the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me.
All right, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not all that happy right now with Crutchfield. So far, the products have been great. Most of the instructions were right, and then I hit a snag, and now, so let me show you guys what I just found. All right, so new radio was not turning on, right? Then I got to thinking, wait a second, what is this red wire here? This red wire, they call it accessory 12 volt. In other words, that's my remote wire. So there's 12 volt signal that goes through there that turns the new radio on. So I said, okay, well, I know this is good. Let's check this one. So I found the connector for this particular red wire here. It's actually down there. But anyway, so I checked that and then I started looking in here, which remember, Crutchfield sells an additional harness for steering wheel control as an additional optional harness. And this is where I get upset. So going back here, so I'm looking at the red cable here and I'm checking on the big connector here, looking for a red wire, and I don't have one. You know where it is? Right here on the so-called steering wheel control harness. Why would you put something that is functional why would you put something that is necessary for the radio to turn on to begin with on an optional harness plug, and it's meant for retaining the steering wheel controls right here, which I didn't care to lose. And again, it was an optional thing, so why would I? Well, now I'm running into this mess that apparently I needed it anyway, which I think is ridiculous. That should be on your primary connector. That doesn't make sense, and that's why I'm upset. All right, with that said, here's what I'm going to do to fix it. I looked online, I checked for unused fuse locations on the fuse box that's under the steering wheel, and I'm going to see which ones of these I can tap into. And once I find one that's switched, I'm going to go ahead and run the cable. I'm going to tap into this remote wire, and then I'm going to plug it back in. If the radio turns on, then I will go ahead and make it a permanent fix by that. But yeah, that's frustrating. Okay, I'm happy now. So after looking at diagrams, I found a list of some that were used that don't apply to my car and some that were not used. And lo and behold, that number 27 was the one that ended up working perfect because it's an empty spot. It's actually where the probe is right now. And that one is definitely a switched outlet. I'm sorry, a switched fuse location. I measured it and I got my length ready to go. So let's make this happen. There we go. Okay, here we go. Now we got about the right, actually even smaller than this, so it'll slide in even better. But I also checked the depth, and yeah, that's gonna be just fine. All right, so there you go. There's my new remote wire. So I went ahead and cut the remote wire. I joined the remote wire itself into a single female connector, and then I put a male end connector on the remote on the wire that I ran, hooked them both up, and now there's no excuse. There's definitely a connection there. So at this point, this thing is either going to turn on or it's going to explode. One of the two. Let's see. We got power. Woo! Yeah! Okay. Oh man, look at that. Yeah, I agree. Goodbye. We got audio too. Oh man. Okay, I got audio. Oh, nice. It's done. Okay, guys, it's been a long day, but wow, this looks amazing. So let's just do the honorary thing. Pull this off. There we go. I can't wait to start messing around with the EQ. All right, so the microphone is installed. There it is. I can always rotate it accordingly, but you see the harness is nice and out of the way. You don't see the cable at all, so perfect. So it's not, and it's also not going to get in the way of getting the key in and out here. And then we pan over here, and I had a knockout cover right there, so I was able to run the USB cables through that, and it just stays right up there. Perfect, nice and clean. And guys, I really can't get mad at Crutchfield as much as I initially was. at the end of the day, like they do so many cars. They have master sheets is what they call it, but it's basically they have install instructions for thousands of cars. And I don't know if maybe the information on this car was incorrect, or maybe I selected the wrong vehicle when I put in the specs of the car. It's also possible. The car has many different options. It's possible that I selected the wrong one. Um, but one thing that is for certain is that at least with my radio, you guys saw what it looked like, and my steering wheel controls. If you guys have that same configuration, the you will have to have that optional steering wheel control harness because the remote 12-volt goes through that harness, which I think is ridiculous. But with that said, the other option is if you want to save yourself $95, you can do what I did. Go to Fuse 27, which is unused, at least in my car, and then just run your own wire, tap into the 12-volt accessory wire, the red one on the harness, and you're done. Save yourself $95 and you're good to go. Um, with that said, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. If you liked it, if you learned how to do it on your car, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscription. That'd be awesome. And I got more coming.